Hey everyone, and thank you for tuning in to my Sound Paint podcast. Sound Paint was a concept I created about 10 years ago with the goal to be rooted in a safe community for musicians seeking music education from an angle of just wanting to explore and enjoy music and sound and grow together in their skill and ability. I also feel very strongly about the connection between art and music. It is my love and passion to read different physics studies and explore the correlation between sound waves and light waves. Light waves, which, when broken down, are basically the colors that we see. I love the idea of approaching writing music with color in mind. That is a huge source of my inspiration when I play. With that in mind, I think you get the reason why I call this project Sound Paint. As we go along, I'll be describing what I'm doing as much as possible for everyone listening in without the video. If you are interested in seeing what I'm doing, as well as listening, you can catch me on YouTube. The link for this episode will be listed below. Or if you yourself are interested in learning music and want to check out any of my music courses online, you can find my website at www.soundpaintacademy.com. I'm always adding new courses, and I'm always open to hearing new ideas for courses that you might like to try out. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sound Paint Podcast. Today, I've been saying it for a few weeks now, and you've all been so patient, and I really appreciate that. But today is going to be part one of a two-part dive into how exactly color can translate into sound. It's super complicated. And, well, spoiler, I kind of just spoiled the surprise. But anyways, I know I've been saying for a while I wanted to delve into this, but I found this amazing YouTuber, and I am not even going to reveal who it is. And he posted this 7 years ago. I really honestly can't believe I never came across it before because I have looked everywhere for this type of information. I'm going to break it down for you because I realized if I just explode all the information, it might be a little overwhelming. I mean, honestly, I had to watch it a couple times myself because there was so much math involved. And you know what? I always say, this podcast is for everybody, not just musicians. And I want to be able to take you along for the ride if you're not a musician, and I don't want anything to go over anybody's head. Honestly, there's a good potential because it's just so much information, but we're going to talk about the correlation between color and sound, but not in this episode. Now, I also want to keep it short because this is going to be a two-parter. So I was thinking to myself, if we're going to talk about the correlation between color and sound, we're going to have to talk about frequencies, and we're going to have to talk about what a frequency is exactly. And I have a few ways I want to illustrate this for you. So you can think of a frequency as basically a pitch. Now, after so many years of teaching, I know that it's not always common knowledge that a sound like this is considered a low note. Many people think that when we say low note and high note, we're actually talking about soft and loud, but we're not. And a lot of people would say this is loud. But it's a low note because of its position on the keyboard. And conversely, this is a high note, and it's high up on the keyboard. So what a frequency is in addition to being a specific pitch or note, it also tells you where on the keyboard it is. I'm also saying keyboard, it could be any instrument, but the keyboard is a good visualizer because to your left are the low notes, to your right are the high notes, and it moves in a linear, here, I'll show you what I'm doing. So down here, these are the low notes. So if you're facing the piano, okay, so these low notes, as we read a sentence from the left to the right, the piano moves similarly. Like, for example, this note right here, well, I'll move up here. This That's an A. And then it moves up to B, C, D, E, F, G. And then it starts over again with A. So that's just real quick, the music alphabet. So we move from left to right. So frequencies are labeled as well from left to right. So on the screen, I have a spectrum device, which kind of shows you in real time what the sound is doing. And I'm going to play this low note down here. This is an A. Now I have two different tools up here. I have a channel EQ, and they're both labeled so you can see them. I have a spectrum and a channel EQ. I just like the spectrum because it looks more lively. I don't know. But then the channel EQ is a little bit more, shows you a little bit more what's going on. So that sound wave, that you see. Oh, again, for those of you who are only listening and are not seeing the video, I would actually recommend you check me out on YouTube. The link for this video is below. So follow me so you can see what I'm doing. If you can't see what I'm doing, I really apologize. I'll try to explain it as much as possible. Channel EQ. I want you to focus on the channel EQ. Now, you'll see we have a line going down the middle. Well, it's an EQ, so I can like manipulate it and like do things and kind of cut certain frequencies off as I see fit. But right now I want it flat across. We have two directions. We have up and we have down, like a vertical up and down. We have on the side -12, and then up on top we have 12. If you're looking at a channel EQ or a spectrum, you can assume that the volume is going to be that vertical up and down. We call it amplitude. So here, I'm going to play a note, and you're going to see just how loud the sound is. And you can tell how loud it is by how high up on the channel EQ or the spectrum it goes. Wow, I did not expect to be able to explain that so clearly. All right, so I'm going to play the note. And you can see it's on the channel EQ, it's meeting it at the halfway mark, which is basically what I have set to be the peak. So I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to do it again because I did it fast. Okay. I'm going to actually turn it really down so you can see the contrast. Now I'm holding this note out. Just look at the channel EQ. That signal, that sound wave that I'm hitting, which is an A, is softer than when we first started. And that A is kind of floating. It's peaking at about 0 and then falling below that. So that's the amplitude. So I turned it down. I can turn it down even more. And you'll see it go down. See it going down? On the EQ. Because I just made the output super low. So vertically, it's falling. Okay? I'm going to do the opposite now, and you're going to see it rise. Okay, now, it wasn't super dramatic what you saw, but you could see that the input and the sound wave went up when I turned it up, and it went down when I turned it down. So up and down, amplitude, not really as important, actually, to know what we're talking about with sound and color, but I needed to explain that to explain this matrix that we're using, because the important part is the left to the right. That, similarly to what I said, the piano does, left to right, the frequency is going to be more to the left if it's a lower pitch, and it's going to be more to the right if it's a higher pitch. And I'm going to illustrate that right now by playing super low and then moving up. And what you're going to do is, it's not like these sound waves are not going to be so dramatically left or right, but you're going to see them kind of slowly shift from left to right as the frequency either goes left or right. I'll just show you. Starting low. Now, as I hold this out, you can see the input is leaning heavy in the left direction. Okay. Now, as I go up, you're going to gradually, I'm going to stop playing while I'm talking. As I go up, you're going to gradually see it move to the right. See, it's like almost like tiptoeing to the right. You can see it in the channel EQ and the spectrum. I'm going to go all the way to the right. So do you see the difference? Can you see where they're called fundamentals? It's like you see one peak and then you see everything that's kind of an aftermath of that initial sound that I hit. So that's what all those initial spikes are. But it's moved all the way to the right. Still a little bit in the left, still a little bit in the middle, but like dramatically different from actually this one. I'm gonna go low. Look at that spectrum. Look at that channel EQ. There is like nothing in the right end at all. We are low. Love that. This is actually how noise works too. And there was actually, I had some questions because on my Instagram, I did a video of this waterfall, and the waterfall, I had to like keep going back and forth. I'm like, I think it's blue noise. I think it's pink noise. But in the end, I'm like, no, it's a little bit higher in frequency, and blue is supposed to be lower in frequency. So I went with pink. I hope that made sense. If you're super like curious and interested, I would love to like explain it further. So, you know what? Shoot me a message or a comment below if you have any more questions about frequency, because I want you to really understand this when we move on next week to how color comes into play with a frequency. So, to recap, vertical, up and down, that is the amplitude, that is the volume or the output of what you're hearing. Left to right, that is the pitch. And also, further to the left is lower notes, further to the right is higher. I think that's a pretty simple way to explain it. And that's where we're going to end it today because, yeah. This is a two-parter. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. I had fun. It's really hot in here. I'm going to go turn the air conditioning back on, and I'm going to get out of here. So have a fantastic Saturday or weekend or whenever it is that you're listening to this. Take care, and thanks again for listening. Bye.